Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rick Shanklin at the National Weather Service in Paducah, and welcome to our Facebook Live session on the severe weather risk for this weekend. And I'll be bringing Pat Spoden, our Science and Operations Officer, in here in a bit, possibly another guest through the course of the next 15 to 30 minutes that will be on here. But wanted to give you a little bit of what we're expecting for this weekend. Of course, you can look at this recorded after it's over. If you want to actually just call up the slides, you can go back and look at this, and there's the URL for the slides that we, or pretty much the slides that we're going to be using here this afternoon. So check those out if you want to look at a little bit more detail of what we're expecting. And of course, the reason we're doing this Facebook Live session is our severe weather potential for this weekend. We have some potential through the course of the weekend and kind of culminating or peaking Saturday night. We'll be talking in more detail about that. But we're also concerned not just because of the severe weather threat, but because it is a holiday weekend. So we know there are more people out and about, and even in more vulnerable situations, in some cases camping out on the lakes, etc. So that's a concern that we have certainly as well. And when we say severe weather threat, not just talking strictly about damaging thunderstorm winds, large hail, potential for tornadoes, but also some concern for flooding, especially for those outdoors and of course driving around. We'll talk more about that in a bit as well. This graphic here that we have on the screen is actually the 1982 Marion, Illinois tornado, and we're coming up on the 35-year anniversary of that Monday, Memorial Day, which, by the way, looks like a nice day across our region. This particular tornado is a violent F4, killed 10 people, again in the Marion, Illinois area. So it serves as an example of what can happen this time of the year, certainly any time of the year in our region, but we are kind of in the peak of the severe weather season, getting toward the end of our peak severe weather season. Also tomorrow is the 100-year anniversary of one of the worst tornadoes in our region that occurred 1917. Started actually in Lake County, Tennessee, and then moved into Fulton County, through Hickman County, through Graves County, killing 67 people. A violent EF4 tornado on the ground, over 50 miles, injured 345 people. So yet another example of what can occur this time of the year. And we'll talk a little bit more about what this environment is like this weekend, or what we think it's going to be like as compared to a past event or two here in a minute. And when I talk about our region, I'm talking about a 4-state area, and we'll show that in just a minute. But thought I'd snap a shot of our operational area. This is just a few minutes ago, and just kind of show you our area that we're working from. We have all of our main workstations that we issue the warnings from within our office, which is just outside the room here where we're at. We have our situational awareness display there that we monitor a lot of different things weather-wise. We even monitor the local media. You'll see some of the TV stations up there, but our different equipment, radar data certainly, reports, our equipment status to be sure everything's functioning like it needs to, and so forth. So we are getting ready for this event, and there's just a little sample of that for you. Our severe weather risk, we do have some concern even for through tonight, our day one outlook as we call it. We're just have generally the thunderstorms forecast. The concern for severe weather is actually to our north and east through this event through tonight. So we have that. Again, our main concern is during the day, Saturday and Saturday night. We may have some development occur late Saturday during the day, during the afternoon, and into the evening, and then maybe a quiet period possibly into the evening. But getting back to that Saturday day threat into the early evening, that is when we could see some of the stronger storms, what we call supercell storms, that could produce our damaging wind threat, large hail threat, and even certainly a threat of tornadoes with that as well. But what we have most of our region in a moderate or level 4 of our 5-level scale, actually 6-level scale if you consider the non-severe general thunderstorm area. So a level 4 risk across most of our region, level 3 across the remainder of the region that the National Weather Service here in Paducah covers. So that's a pretty serious thing. We only see that about 4 times a year in our region. And actually, if you went to a particular point on this map, it would only be about half of that. So it's a pretty rare deal, and that combined with the holiday weekend again is why we're having concern and why we're doing this Facebook Live session, as well as other preparations. We've already done a conference call with our partners out there in emergency management, law enforcement, transportation, the broadcast media that we work closely with during severe weather and so forth. And then we do have a continued risk for Sunday. It's a little more iffy. It depends on what happens overnight Saturday, and that's when we expect yet another round or chance of thunderstorms. That could be a more concentrated area of thunderstorms, and that could even bring a flooding concern, heavy rain flooding concern as we go into Sunday, and we'll look at the rainfall forecast here in just a minute. But for Sunday, as it stands right now, we do have a slight risk, a level 2 and 5 risk, and that's pretty much across all of our region. And there could be some redevelopment into the afternoon with that, and so we have that concern again extending into Sunday. Again, Monday looks nice for the time being. And rainfall, again, heavy rainfall is forecast across our region, especially the northern Pennyroyal of Kentucky into southwest Indiana and the Green River region of western Kentucky. Don't get too honed in on this or any of the graphics for that matter. Certainly as this system evolves, we could see things shift one direction or another a bit. But right now, that's where it looks like the greatest chance for flooding, heavy rain is in our region. We do have what we call an excessive rainfall outlook area, which is basically all of our region that is outlined. Uses the same categories as for severe weather, damaging winds and all, but again, that's just for flooding. So we're at least have a slight risk of excessive rainfall and flooding across our region. Bottom line, 1 to 3 inches of rainfall forecast across our region for the weekend. And with that, again, with all the camping, boating, and things going on this weekend, we really want to stress that. And the key things, number one, is being sure you have a way to receive the warnings. That's absolutely paramount. A weather radio is absolutely a critical component of being able to receive the warnings. Carry the weather radio with you if you're outdoors or on the road. You will have to check and be sure if you're going into a different area that you have it programmed for the right frequency for the area that you're at. You can go to weather.gov/NWR for normal weather radio and get all that information, the frequency you need to have it programmed on, and for the county codes if you need those to program it for the specific county that you're in. Also, cell phones are another way, of course, to receive warnings, and we always encourage actually having 2 ways to receive warnings. Weather radios and cell phones are great ways to do that. Be aware if you don't have a particular service, you're only going to get alerts most likely through the wireless emergency alert system, and those warnings or alerts are only for tornado warnings and flash flood warnings. You will not get severe thunderstorm warnings or any other type of weather warning really through your cell phone, but you will get tornado warnings and flash flood warnings through that. That's assuming you have a newer cell phone that receives the wireless emergency alerts. There's other ways to get the alerts on your cell phone. Some of our counties and cities in our region have something called Code Red. It's an excellent way to get warnings. If you're not signed up for that in your county, I'd really encourage you to do that. Some counties use something called Nixle to communicate with the residents in their county. You can check with your local emergency management, local officials to find out more information on that as well. So that's the first component, having a way, first staying informed, having a way to receive the warnings, and secondly, if a warning is issued for your area or you observe hazardous weather in your area, damaging winds, flooding, whatever, take action, take shelter. If it's a tornado warning, certainly. You generally want to go to the smallest, most interior room, lowest floor. If you're out camping, if you have an option to go to a restroom facility, bathhouse, something like that, that would be a much better choice, obviously, than being in a tent or a camper that can more easily blow over. Also, don't forget about things, like lightning. We have lightning, of course, with all thunderstorms, and always, if you hear thunder roar, go indoors. That's our slogan for that. Just like for flooding, turn around, don't drown. And we've had, unfortunately, fatalities in our region already this year from people doing exactly that, not turning around. And that's the number one way we lose people is in vehicles driving through flooded roads, especially at night. Also, kids playing around streams and all can be very dangerous and even deadly. We've seen that as well in our region, unfortunately. So those are the things I wanted to cover as far as that goes. Definitions, again, a watch means conditions are possible for severe weather in or close to the watch area. You should be ready to take action should a warning be issued or if severe weather, again, is observed in your area. And a warning means it's time to take action. You need to take shelter at that time. Don't wait for additional notifications and all. The period that you're under warnings is generally quite small, especially for tornado warnings. So take shelter immediately if a warning is issued for your area. And sometimes we issue warnings, of course, for severe thunderstorms. A severe thunderstorm just means a storm that's expected to produce or is already producing hail at least 1 inch in diameter or winds of at least about 60 miles an hour. If that severe thunderstorm is expected to produce a tornado, of course, we issue a tornado warning for that. Generally shorter duration, 20 to 40 minutes, probably an average, and for parts of county. So it's a pretty small area as well. So that's pretty much the things I wanted to go over. I'm going to have Pat Spoden join me here for a little bit, and we'll talk some about this event and maybe how it compares to other events, unless Pat may have some other ideas. Again, Pat is our Science and Operations Officer here at the National Weather Service in Paducah, and just like my position, Warning Coordination Meteorologist, we have one of us at each weather office across the country. And Pat, you've been looking at some of the other events and maybe how this one compares to those events. So
yeah, we're looking at how this situation looks like other situations that we've had in the past, and one of the top matches will be May the 6th of 2003, when we ended up with a rather large tornado across Massachusetts counties, and then we had the big line of storms go through. Now, of course, it's not going to match up just like that. It's not going to work that way. Doesn't mean there's going to be a big tornado tomorrow, but the main thing I think to focus on is the fact that we could have a lot of strong winds come in with a line of storms that are probably going to go through either tomorrow evening or tomorrow night, late overnight. The timing is hard to tell at this point in time, but that's really what you want to focus on. If any storms develop tomorrow afternoon, they could rapidly become severe. But I think tomorrow night, during the nighttime, is when we're going to have the biggest threat for widespread damaging winds. At least the potential is there. And if you're going to be out camping, and you're in a tent or even in a camper, just be aware. Make sure you know where a shelter is before you set up camp. And also the potential for heavy rain is there. So again, don't camp right next to a small creek because you don't know what it's going to do later.
Yeah, and May 6, 2003, as Pat said, we had the big F4 tornado across Pulaski, Massachusetts, and Polk County. And there were actually, I think, at least 17 or 18 other tornadoes with that event too. And it's mostly just a couple supercell storms that produced those tornadoes, but it was a very active day. Things can change, in the environment, and we're not saying that tomorrow or tomorrow night could be like that, but the potential is there. We don't want to overplay it, but we don't want to be too restrained and not say that something like that couldn't happen, because it could. I mean, the instability in the wind fields are pretty impressive for tomorrow, aren't they?
Yeah, the instability is actually considered to be almost what they call extreme. Very high values, meaning that you've got a lot of warm air near the ground, and up above, where the airplanes fly, it's very cold. And so you're going to have, the air is going to rise very quickly. It's going to change because warm air rises. That's the fuel for the thunderstorms. It'll be more humid tomorrow. We're looking for our dew points to be probably close to the 60s or even close to 70. Yeah. So you're going to feel the humidity tomorrow. But the main thing is just be aware. You don't have to change everything that you're planning on doing, and don't need to be scared. The fact is, just be aware of that the potential's there. When they issue a watch, okay, that's the time to watch. Be ready. Watch the internet, watch your local TVs, watch us, whatever, and so that you're getting the weather information, you're not caught off guard.
Yeah, your best tool is knowledge. You need to stay very informed, and certainly if a watch is issued, you need to ramp up your game even more so at that point. And as we said, really consider where you're going to take action if you're in a place different than where you would normally be. Scout that out a little bit and know where you would go to take shelter. And we realize, especially camping and things like that, you're maybe not going to have as good options as you would otherwise, but certainly you could have better options than where you may be. So again, we had any other thoughts, Pat?
No, I think you just need to be aware of all kinds of potential threats. Hopefully, not much will happen, but yeah, the potential is there, and that's what we really have to watch for. And the fact that it's a holiday weekend, so you've got friends and family and barbecuing and camping, and all different kinds of things can happen. I mean, just be aware. Information is the key.
Mm-hmm. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us. Just a quick summary: severe weather threat throughout the weekend, really peaking possibly Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. Flooding concerns increase overnight Saturday. Continued severe weather threat as far as damaging winds and large hail with severe thunderstorms into Sunday, and then much better for Memorial Day. So right now I think it still looks sunny or mostly sunny, and warm temperatures on Memorial Day. So everyone have a safe weekend and stay informed. Again, you can stay abreast of all of our information on Facebook, on Twitter, on our website, weather.gov/Paducah. If you're traveling, just weather.gov, or any of your favorite weather sources you utilize out there through the broadcast media or any other source as well. So again, have a safe weekend. Thank you once again for joining us.